Hey, hope you're doing well. So I just want to go over a little bit some thoughts here, trying to piece it together about Mary being a mother-in-law of Peter. So, um, so yeah, if you go back to the wedding, John 2, okay, and we know that the that mother and brother disciple were there, but the fact that they stayed there for a few days, so it just so happened there's a Jewish festival. Um, Jewish custom where practice known as Shiv'at, Mishteh, okay, which is where the newlywed family stayed at the groom's house for a few days. Alrighty, so that means that Mary here, Jesus' mother, is now a mother-in-law, okay, and his brothers and his disciples, and they stayed there for a few days. So Capernaum, who do we know lived in Capernaum? It was Peter. So this backs up what this gentleman is saying here, who did the research on this, claiming that this wedding with Peter. So anyway, so based on that, what's interesting though is why is it that all three Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, where they refer in Peter's now at this time he's still living in Capernaum. He hasn't moved to Jerusalem yet. The mission Matthew 10:23 hasn't been uh, shared with him yet. Matthew 8, obviously before Matthew 10. So he's living in Capernaum this time. And I also want to point out that it's mentioned nothing about Joseph, uh, Mary's husband. So this suggests that she's a widow at this point, Mary. It seems strange the wedding and Joseph is not mentioned. And his brothers are. This heavily suggests that Mary is a widow by this point. Okay. So anyway, Matthew 8, um, probably a year into Jesus' ministry. I don't know. Anyway, I really have to lay it out. I haven't pieced together a timeline yet. I work a precision level down the hour, and I am working on it right now where I carefully piecing these together using the precision level down the hour. And most of this information you get is not down to that level. I get maybe within a day, maybe within a feast, Jewish feast, um, that sort of thing. Well, that would be down to a day as well, but um, yeah, or down to a month or a year. But if I can find out the hour, that's what I pursue for. Okay, because you come across very significant things, interesting things when you work precision level down the hour. It's just um. Anyway, so what's interesting is Matthew, Mark, and Luke. They refer to Peter's mother-in-law, which meant Jesus' mom. But they now this is during obviously Christ's ministry. I I don't have an explanation for that, but based on this, it heavily suggests you know Capernaum. He stayed there for a few days, knowing the Jewish feast. Okay, it heavily suggests what this guy was saying in this article is correct. But anyway, so could it be? Is it possible just to protect Mary, being the widow, just by calling it Peter's mother-in-law? Um, who knows? But what's interesting here, whoever it was that was healed, she immediately, when she arose, she healed, and she wrote and ministered to them right away. Who at the age of Mary's mother-in-law, or Peter's mother-in-law at that age level, which Mary, the mother of Jesus, fits under, would minister to them right away, right after her healing? Who would do that besides Mary, the mother of Jesus? You know, um, Who? Is there anybody that comes to your mind that could have been besides Mary? Because I could totally see Mary doing that. She even said, over here, um, whatever he said to you, do it. She's ministering to them, and she's obviously utmost strong conviction here. It has to be somebody that really knows Jesus well. I mean, knows him really well to get healed by Jesus and start ministering right away. The only person that comes to my mind would be Mary. But again, we the writer here referred to as Peter's mother-in-law. Um. Anyway, in this, yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I have this one here, but yeah. So same thing here. She missed him right away. That's Mark. That would have been Peter's son. Okay, and then same thing with Luke. Alrighty. And like I was saying earlier, okay, Matthew 10 takes place after Matthew 8. Jesus tells them their mission, okay? And that mission did not end until May. The sign occurred in the sky May 2nd, 1866. That's when this mission would have ended. It was that same year where Peter wrote his epistles, and then right after that would have been their gathering of the house of Israel. Okay. So, so anyway, so I can just see after Peter denied Christ 3 times, we know based on Acts 12, we already gone over this, that Peter actually lived in Jerusalem near one of the gates. I can see um, after he denied Christ 3 times, he just went straight home. And that's where Jesus' mother would have been. And uh, so the author of this article points out this word should not be here. Okay, it's and his sister, Jesus' sister Mary. Okay, he had a sister by the name Mary. Mary, the wife of Cleophas, is really Peter and Mary Magdalene. Okay, um, so yeah, and by the cross of Jesus was his mother, his sister, the wife of Cephas, and Mary the Magdalene. Okay, so um, I can totally see that. You know, so I don't know too much about Mary, mother of Jesus, sister. Okay, that probably need more research than that. But I can see what this guy is saying is true. It's really and his sister, Jesus' sister, Mary, the wife of Peter. You go back here again, Capernaum. Um, this heavily suggests that this was Peter's wedding, and notice that sister's not mentioned here. Well, because one of his sisters is Mary. She would have obviously already been there. The other sister being Martha, um, they just probably didn't think. They probably just thought by default, well, if you know these people enough, you know that their sister could be there too. So they probably didn't feel it important that the one and only sister to mention it. It's kind of default that she's going to be there as well. That's possible. Anyway, um, that's all I really want to share. I can see what he's saying is true. He pointed out you cannot find the original Hebraic text of this, which I can imagine very frustrating for him, the guy who did the research on this. But anyway, but yeah, so this heavily suggests, you understand the Jewish feast, um, that this was in fact Peter's wedding, and Mary, the mother of Jesus, was Peter's mother-in-law. All right. So anyway, that's all I have. Nothing too exciting, but love to hear your thoughts on this. So, all right, thank you, and hope you have enough.